Yesterday, NASCAR did some experimenting with the rain, and there is something interesting going on with North Wilkesboro and Marcus Smith that we need to talk about. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jet and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Lines. Hope you guys are having a great morning to your day. We have two stories to talk about on this show. Let's first off begin with the story that took place yesterday at Martinsville Speedway. Now, NASCAR has been doing a lot of experimenting. Last weekend they experimented racing on dirt for the first time in over 50 years. And yesterday at Martinsville, they tested racing in the rain. That's right, NASCAR sent drivers Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher to conduct an experiment with Goodyear Racing rain tires on a damp Martinsville Speedway. Now, how they did this is that they actually took trucks and had them filled with water and simply just made the track wet. And then they brought the two cars out on the racetrack on the wet tires and had them do a couple laps. Now, in a way, it's sort of deja vu because if you remember, back in 1995 or 1996, NASCAR also conducted a rain tire test on the wets at Martinsville. Now in 95, this took place on a Friday during the NASCAR race weekend. And on Friday, there was a rain delay that basically canceled all practice sessions. And this was the time that NASCAR decided with Goodyear to try out this experiment. And let's just say it did not end that well. Labonte ran several half-speed lap times, and this was his simple comment on the test. "It didn't feel as good as I thought it would," he said. "It felt like I was on ice. I could spin the tires and jump the RPMs anytime I wanted. That's why those Formula One guys make so much money." Obviously, that's referring to how F1 guys were really, and IndyCar guys were the only types of drivers that were able to race in the rain. But now we flash forward to 2021. The new driver of the 5 car, Kyle Larson, whose comments that he made after the test were much more positive regarding the future of NASCAR and racing in the rain.
We tested some damp conditions with some different tires, and that was fun. I don't really have much wet weather experience, so that was cool to kind of figure that out, and honestly didn't drive like way different. You could still slow down good, turn good. Drive off was easy to spin your tires, but other than that, it was kind of fun to chase the grip throughout the portions when it would start drying. So it was pretty fun, and yeah, I mean I think they've got a good product that we could honestly start racing with right away if we needed to on these short tracks.
So yeah, Larson's comments were much more encouraging. Now, he did mention the one statement similar to what Labonte made in 95, talk about how easy it was to spin the tires, especially on drive off, but also mentioned how fun it was searching for grip across the racetrack. As the track got drier and drier, you don't really need for wet. So it was, he said from his point of view, that it was fun searching for grip around the racetrack, different lanes to pick, and just overall just searching all around the racetrack for grip and to get more speed out of his car. But one thing I found very interesting was the fact that he said that it didn't drive too differently compared to racing on slicks. Now, obviously, you're going to drive a lot harder probably compared to racing on wets, but I did find that interesting that he said that there was not that much of a change from racing on slicks on a dry track compared to racing on wets in a damp track. And the fact that he ended off saying that he thinks NASCAR has a good product that they could use right away, not with the next gen car, but potentially next weekend, or next weekend's race at Martinsville on April 10th. He said according to him, if they're in a situation where NASCAR has a wet track, bring out the wet tires and see what happens. Now, Steve O'Donnell did say that depending on the results from yesterday's Martinsville test, that they might expand looking at flatter tracks that are approximately 1 mile or shorter. So Darlington, which is just over a mile, will not be a part of this, and only flat tracks. So New Hampshire will be one. Martinsville, Bristol's not going to be part of it, or I don't think Richmond will also be part of it. It's got some banking to it, but again, Bristol would definitely not be on that because it's got a lot of banking to its name. And even Phoenix, which kind of surprised me because of turn 1, which has some banking to it. But I do find it very encouraging and interesting the fact that Larson did say that, hey, he found this very comfortable, and even quite fun. We don't know what Buescher and his thoughts are, but From Larson, he says it's good. And it would be kind of cool to see NASCAR, maybe, maybe in the future NASCAR go F1 and have slicks, wets, and inters. And I think it'll also be cool because it can add another element of strategy to the mix. Let's say, if you want to stay out on slicks on a wet track, or at least on a damp track, you can give them the opportunity. Or, hey, if you want to try out on wets or, try out different strategies depending on the type of condition the track is in at that state of time, I think it could provide a very interesting race from a strategic point of view. But knowing NASCAR, they'll probably not even try that and just say, oh, touch, it's wet, everyone must come on pit road, and everyone must change tires. So, I don't know, but based on the tests, things are looking good. And now let's talk about our Inside the Lines rapid fire. 2 stories to talk about on this segment. The first story revolves around 2 drivers, both being reinstated by NASCAR. NASCAR announced Wednesday that they have reinstated Mike Wallace and Josh Rayum following successful completion of NASCAR requirements. Wallace was suspended in September 2020, while Rayum was suspended 2 months later in November that same year. The penalties for both drivers were the result of social media posts. Now with Mike Wallace, I don't remember exactly what he did, but I believe it was something along the lines of with the Confederate flag and just basically, I believe, disagreeing with it or something to that extent. I could be completely wrong about it, but I believe it has something to do with the Confederate flag. With Josh Rayum, he just simply was an idiot and decided to post a picture of himself with the Pop-Tart with a swastika on it because he thought that was funny. I don't know. But yeah, they are now back in NASCAR. Thoughts? I don't care. And the rating came out for NASCAR's race on the Bristol Dirt on Monday. Fox earned a 1.8 rating or 3.114 million viewers for the postponed Food City Dirt race at Bristol Motor Speedway on Monday afternoon. Originally scheduled for Sunday afternoon, the race started at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday and averaged around 45,000 people who streamed it on Fox's digital service. Now, more than 3 million people for a cup race on Monday afternoon. That is very impressive. To be honest, that rating on a Monday afternoon is probably more than other races that ran on a scheduled Sunday afternoon, especially last year. If you look back on maybe on cable, on a scheduled Sunday afternoon, even on a Monday rating, they blow that out of the water. Which makes me think, I can only imagine, what would the rating have been like, or the amount of people that could have tuned in been like, had it been scheduled on the Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know the average of how much a viewership drops from Sunday to Monday, but maybe it could have gotten 4 or 5 million viewers. Who knows? But the fact that 3 million viewers on a Monday afternoon, that, in my opinion, is a smashing success. And now on to our final story. Marcus Smith, the COO of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, gave an interview with Dale Jr. on the Dale Jr. Download, talking about regarding what happened, what took place, and how basically everything that was involved regarding the transformation of converting Bristol from concrete to dirt. Now, he did mention some interesting things. For example, the Atlanta there was a picture that surfaced on the internet of Atlanta, and behind it, these casinos and roller coasters and things like that. They mentioned that. He also mentioned about potentially having a roof or some form of cover over Bristol Motor Speedway to prevent, what we saw on Sunday with, well, maybe not Sunday because that was, I think, a bit too much, but a form of, preventing from rain stopping and potentially postponing the event. Similar to how you would see a lot of stadiums or some baseball stadiums that are large in size but are indoors. I believe there's one in Toronto with the Blue Jays competing. I believe that's indoors. Something to that nature. Or at least some form of cover to prevent from rain getting into the track. But I believe the most important story, and again, I'll leave the full Dale Jr. Download link in the description down below if you want to hear it for yourself. I highly recommend it. It's a really good listen. But I believe the most important thing that took place from this entire interview was near the end, when Marcus Smith and Dale Jr. discussed North Wilkesboro. Yep, North Wilkesboro. That was part of the NASCAR schedule from its inception in 1949 until its death at the end of 1996. Now, many people assume after 1996, when NASCAR sort of became more popular and sort of went away from its short track roots in favor of the more mile-and-a-half tracks at places like Texas, Fontana, tracks like that. Las Vegas is another one. Many people thought that North Wilkesboro would never see the day of light. Even though there is a Twitter account or a social media account that has saved the Speedway, that is looking to try and find a way to bring North Wilkesboro Speedway back to life. Many people accepted its death. I thought, hey, it was in the past. We move on. We would like to see North Wilkesboro come back, but it's never going to happen. Well, I want to point out that this interview may give a hope of life. Not a definite, but just the hope of life. Now, last year, talks about North Wilkesboro was brought back up to the surface when Marcus Smith, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and the crew at iRacing went to North Wilkesboro to scan the racetrack and put it into the iRacing simulator, which was then run in the final race of the Season 1 edition of the eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series. When that happened, a lot of people had potentially a lot of hopes. Could this be a sign of future things to come? Well, when you fast forward to that interview with Dale Jr. download between Jr. and Marcus Smith yesterday or 2 days ago, the hopes could get a lot higher. Maybe not the complex itself, because if you look at the complex of just the track around it, it's in far worse shape than expected. It is in really bad shape. But the track itself could have some life. This is what Marcus Smith said on the Dale Jr. download.
Oh, what?
I just want to let you know that we haven't forgotten about North Wilkesboro. We haven't given up on it.
What does that even mean?
What? Yeah, it just means that we're...
The wheels are turning all the ways?
I'm thinking we're working on it. No promises. But we have not forgotten about it.
Yeah.
That's the big message.
Man, I don't know that that ain't the biggest thing that you said in this this conversation at the table. And I know you don't want... there's no promises. There's no guarantees or that anything will ever happen at that racetrack. And I think everyone can totally understand that. But the fact that you guys even have it in the back of your mind, I think will make a lot of people happy.
Well, I know a lot of people just think that I don't care, and that's not true. I really do care. And if we can think of a way to do something there, we're going to. And to be sure, I'm not saying a NASCAR race there. I just think that there's something that could be done there.
They're working on it, no promises made, and that he cares about the Speedway. But he did mention that he's not saying that a NASCAR race is going to be held there, but something could be done there. That, again, brought a lot of people's hopes up. Could something be done to save North Wilkesboro Speedway, to bring it back from the dead? Well, our hope was further. Well, hope continued to build for North Wilkesboro when Marcus Lemonis, who is basically at this point NASCAR's version of Mr. Beast, who just gives out sponsorship money and just money in general like it's candy or something like that, tweeted this either after the interview or a day or so after. But he tweeted out this, simply saying, "At Camping World is ready to open store and some other stuff in Wilkesboro County, or Wilkesboro, North Carolina, cough, cough, at Marcus Smith." He then followed up with another post that says, as promised, showing recent contacts, says that him and Marcus Smith did have a call at 8 a.m. or 8:19 a.m. that morning. Marcus Smith then followed up after having that call with Marcus Lemonis by saying, "Great call this morning. Thanks, Marcus, for your passion for bringing people together around racing." Now, you can take this in many different ways. First of all, number one, it's not an April Fool's joke. They're dead serious about this. Actually, they better be, because at this point, it'd just be cruel if this was a joke. But there could be many things you could take from that. Number one, we could just be thinking way too hard about this, and they're just simply opening another Camping World store in North Wilkesboro. But again, Marcus Smith has said he hasn't forgotten about North Wilkesboro. He cares about their racetrack and believes something could be done about it. Marcus Lemonis also on board with that. Again, I don't want to jump the gun here and say, "Ooh, North Wilkesboro is coming back to life," or, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But let's just say there is hope, at least, of the possibility that North Wilkesboro could be brought back, or at least something could be done from it. Something could be done from this, aside from it just sitting there and rotting. Because right now, no one owns it. It's just there. No one can drive on it. No one could do nothing on it. It's just sitting there. Something could be done about it, besides from tearing it down and having it be some like Walmart parking lot, like at Riverside. But yeah, I am really excited and very invested into what this could mean between Lemonis and Smith and North Wilkesboro. And maybe even Dale Earnhardt Jr., who knows? Because Jr. has also been a very big advocate for doing something, at least with North Wilkesboro. So, I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up, but who knows? Who knows what could happen by the end of 2021? We did not expect, I mean, let's be honest. Did anyone expect a Bristol dirt race last year? Who knows? Maybe by the end of 2021, something could happen from North Wilkesboro, aside from it letting it rot, and actually something could be done for that racetrack. Who knows? I hope for the best. But that is it for this episode of Inside the Lines. Guys, tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on any of the 2 stories that I talked about on this show? As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. But until next time, my name is Jet from MDK, and I'll see you guys next time.